of a brand new start came in perfect time and measure.
In a couple of moments, Colleen and Chris are going to stand right about here. And if we open up the doors and invited in the rest of Chicago, everybody's going to know what you're up to today, because your outfits give you away.
In an endless sky,
you're helping us see and recognize today what God desires, the incarnation of goodness and love. And that's why we stand in this holy place. But, Chris and Colleen, tomorrow, that dress is going to go back wherever dresses go, and that tuxedo goes back to the rental joint first thing in the morning. Today, the outfits give you away, but what about tomorrow? What about 10 years from now, and 20 years from now, and 30 years from now? What will people see and recognize?
When it crashes down.
What we get to see and recognize is a kid who grew up in Singapore and a girl who can do Irish dancing better than anybody else in this chapel. What we get to see and recognize are people that have great hopes and dreams. What we get to see and recognize are people who have just genuine hearts for each other.
Time has only just begun.
May not always feel that way, may not always look that way, but I hope deep down that's what you get to see and recognize in the heart of another.
I've been waiting my whole life. I've been waiting my whole life for this.
My love. When we first met, almost 8 years ago, I knew immediately there was something about you. I had a feeling right away in my young 20-year-old heart that this was something special. From our early moments, I always said to myself, is this too good to be true? And I'm lucky for me that it wasn't. Over the past 7.5 years, we have grown from crazy little college kids to old souls, while pouring everything we've got into making our love work so well. I love the way you make me smile even when I'm annoyed. I love the way that you hold me tight in our kitchen, even when you're in the middle of doing something. I love the way you are there for our families at all times. Your love for me shows through everything you do, and I am the most lucky lady today and always. When I'm with you, I feel safe, at peace, and so in love.
Failure with a glorious plan from what once was only hope and a dream. Raging palms to the sun, let me throw my arms around you. I've been waiting my whole life. I've been waiting my whole life. I've been waiting my whole life for this.
Hi! How are you?
You look beautiful, babe.
You like it?
This dress is stunning.
Thanks.
And I had no idea about it.
Yeah. Yay!
Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to take us back a little bit. Let me tell you, I have 2 other sons. All's great. Let's have another baby. So 9 months. Everyone is saying, can't wait to have that another boy. Can't wait to have that another boy. It's going to be a boy. Going to be a boy. And delivery, she was a girl. And I cried like a baby. I cried like a baby. I'm not sure why, but I cried like a baby.
fantastic. Oh my God.
I don't know if anybody knows this, but I'm real protective of my baby girl. Horribly. So she's dating, and sophomore year, we went to a football game, and Colleen said, well, we're going to have you back to the apartment for brunch. I said, that's great, let's do that. Well, you're going to meet Chris. I said, who the hell's Chris? Well, Chris I really like. I really think Chris is a good dude. I said, okay, no worries. If you think he's a good dude, I'm with you. So I met Chris, and I walked in, and we were having a nice time. We said hello, how's everything, what's going on? Within 30 seconds, I get handed something like this. He goes, here, this is an ice. Let me show you how it's done. I love you, buddy. I have to do it.
I met Colleen 20 years ago, but our friendship really started 18 years ago in Boston at the National Championships of Irish Dance. On the day of the competition, I was a hungry, tired, and nervous 10-year-old, and that's when Colleen approached me with a king-size Reese's and a bag of Cheez-Its, and our friendship was forged. That really tells you what it's like to have Colleen as a friend. She is generous, thoughtful, and always there for a pick-me-up when you need it. She is my most steadfast of friends and a fierce woman who lifts up everyone around her. Most of my fondest high school memories take place in the Kenyon basement, and that's because they make their home open to everyone. To be surrounded by the Kenyons is to know love and fun and really good snacks.
Colleen and I have been friends for 25 years, since meeting, chatting, and giggling our way through Irish dance lessons. Colleen is an incredibly special and gifted woman. She is the kindest, most generous person I have ever known and will ever know. And now she has met, dated, and fallen in love with an equally special, kind, and generous man.
I personally look forward to summers in Michigan with Chris because he is always down for a very lively debate around the campfire over a nice cigar. Chris mirrors Colleen in his thoughtfulness, generosity, and sense of adventure.
Chris is one of the toughest people that I've ever met, and that hasn't changed. While in the Outback, Chris and I, as kids do, were throwing rocks into the fire from the night before. Chris, in typical older brother fashion, had to prove himself the alpha by grabbing the biggest rock to throw into the fire. Little did he know, that rock had been in the fire all night long, and he got second-degree burns on his hand. He calmly walked up to Mom and said, "I think I burned my fingers." I read somewhere that you're born siblings, but brotherhood is something that you have to work for. Chris and I didn't always get along. We fought a lot when we were younger. When we used to play soccer after school, Mom would set a timer for 7 minutes, because any longer, we would end up fighting and one of us would end up in tears. It wasn't the smoothest sailing, but one of my greatest joys in life has been growing from a very one-sided childhood rivalry into friends and brothers. I was lucky enough to grow up with not just a brother, but also a role model. I've had some pretty big, size 9 shoes to fill, which is not always easy. Through it all, I've always looked up to Chris. both figuratively and literally. He's an inch taller than me and never lets me forget it. He's always been a source of guidance, and whether he realizes it or not, has been a man I've strived to emulate. When I first met Colleen, I knew she was special. Colleen is smart, funny, and brave. So brave that she's gonna take our last name. Once while at my apartment, she heard me complaining that my favorite candle was almost out. 2 days later, the biggest version I've ever seen of that candle showed up at my front door courtesy of Colleen. And of course, Amazon Prime.
You know what? When Colleen was born, I'm thinking, oh man, I gotta get the muscle on. She's gonna date someone that I don't like and I'm gonna have to kick his ass. And that's not gonna be good. You know what? It turned out such the opposite way. I love the man more than he's a son to me right out of the chute. I can't even tell you how wonderful Chris Tomei is. We all love you too so much you don't even know.
Yeah, tomorrow the dress goes away, the tux is gone, and then it's you. May we see and recognize the goodness of God in you tomorrow and 10 years and 20 years down the road, as we are delighted to see it in you in this very moment.
As we continue to take on life with our newest titles, remember the love we share today. It is strong, forgiving, tender, and will always be the foundation of our lives. I love you with my entire self, and I can't wait to call you my husband. So excited to marry you. All my love.
And so it gives me honor and privilege to present to you and to the world today, Mr. and Mrs. Christopher and Colleen Tomei. Kiss the bride.